Nothing scares me. Nothing. Yes, I doxed the truckers. I did it. It was me. I hacked Give, Send, Go, baby. And I do it again. I do it 100 times. I did it. I did it. Come at me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me, huh? I hacked Epic Hosting! I hacked Parler! I hacked Gab! I hacked Truth Social! I hacked Go! Give, Send, Go! I don't care!
The person you saw in that clip, Aubrey Cottle, is the individual claiming responsibility for hacking the list of donors to the trucker freedom convoy. Many are questioning whether he was the one who actually hacked the donor list. However, people are also pointing out that he has worked for the Canadian government and the FBI in the past. In an attempt to crush the ongoing protests against his government, Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act earlier this week as a means of freezing the bank accounts of Canadians who supported the demonstrations. Meanwhile, last night, Trudeau's justice minister told one news outlet that being pro-Trump would be a factor that will decide if bank accounts are frozen under these emergency orders.
Look, you've just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks says, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
Chuck Ross, reporter at the Washington Free Beacon, responding to this in a tweet saying journalists should be asking our leaders whether they agree with this insane position. Instead, they're hunting down people who donated $25 to the truckers. In a report earlier this week, I quoted Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, who is pictured here with Justin Trudeau, and billionaire Democrat donor George Soros. Chrystia Freeland, I'm sure some are aware, was also a longtime member of Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum.
First, we are broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and terrorist financing rules so that they cover crowdfunding platforms and the payment service providers they use. These changes cover all forms of transactions, including digital assets, such as cryptocurrencies.
Meanwhile, as Trudeau essentially makes protesting his government illegal, critics are pointing out that Trudeau's state broadcaster is using illegally hacked data to target supporters of the protest. Although Justin Trudeau is quickly losing support, his few remaining supporters have been enabled by big tech and the media to threaten supporters of the Freedom Convoy. Unfortunately, this has already resulted in several supporters of the Freedom Convoy being fired and businesses having to be shut down due to harassment. This article explains illegally hacked data identified thousands of donors who supported the Ottawa trucker convoy through its platform, and a Canadian state broadcaster has allegedly been using it to publish stories about who donated. The hacked data was obtained illegally and released late Sunday evening, according to the Canadian Broadcasting Company, the CBC, which received $1.4 billion in funding from the government just last year. So CBC and the rest of the mainstream media in Canada receive hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer bailouts from Trudeau and do nothing to question his government. Instead, they spend time smearing and attacking the protesters, the same media that completely ignored the actual violence against Freedom Convoy supporters last week in Winnipeg. The New York Post and a few outlets in the US did report on the connection of this suspect with Antifa. The media has been so biased against the protesters that even left-wing Democrats in the US are calling out journalists for promoting the harassment of these Canadian Freedom Convoy donors. Ilhan Omar said on Twitter, quote, "I fail to see why any journalist felt the need to report on a shop owner making such an insignificant donation rather than to get them harassed. It's unconscionable, and journalists need to do better." Highlighting the obvious double standard from big tech, who I'm sure many will remember banned a story on Hunter Biden's laptop, claiming that it was based on hacked materials. Chuck Ross says, unlike the Hunter Biden laptop story, this is based on hacked data. Also, unlike the Biden story, it has not been blocked by Twitter. It is also not newsworthy, unlike the laptop story. Reuters News also published the illegally hacked list of Convoy donors. It's another tweet pointing out the hypocrisy, saying, "So strange that some hacked material is fine." Another commenter points out that Reuters is owned by the Canadian billionaire Thompson family, who also owns Toronto Globe and Mail, and as such, it's no surprise that Twitter would protect them. Here's another commenter pointing out the obvious double standard from big tech, who have enabled news outlets and other political organizations in the US to target protesters with this illegally hacked donor list. He retweets this message from Occupy Democrats, who tweeted out to their followers, quote, "Hackers leak the identities of 92,000 donors who supported the Canadian truckers with $8.7 million through a crowdfunding website. Retweet to thank the hackers for exposing these dangerous people." So Trudeau's state media and their supporters have been enabled by big tech into going after these so-called dangerous people that include small business owners and donors who gave as little as $25 to support the truckers. This cafe in Ottawa was forced to close on Tuesday after receiving threats when the owner, Tammy Giuliani's name appeared on a hacked list of donors to the Ottawa Freedom Convoy. Giuliani says that she now regrets making her $250 donation on February 5th, and that staff in the shop have begun receiving threats Monday morning after her donation was posted on Twitter. Quote, "We got a call from the team saying, 'We're getting phone calls here,'" Giuliani said in a phone interview Monday afternoon. "I said, 'What's going on?' And they said, 'They're threatening to throw bricks through our window. They're threatening to come and get us.' We said, 'Lock the door and we'll find out what's going on.'" Here's a tweet pointing out how the CIA-backed Washington Post is also contacting people whose donation info was leaked and who gave as little as $40 to the truckers to ask them why they did so. He adds, the innumerable blue checks who think this is reporting have forgotten that normal everyday people are terrified of getting fired, harassed over their private political beliefs. One more tweet from Ezra Levent of Rebel News. He says Trudeau's CBC state broadcaster is combing through the illegally hacked database of Give, Send, Go donors and emailing donors asking them to explain themselves. Trudeau's state broadcaster is doxing Trudeau's political opponents. They're teeing them up for financial punishments. Again, while people online are still trying to confirm who was actually behind this hack, this story is essentially being ignored by the mainstream media. Here's one interesting thread on Twitter that points out some notable connections. From GG Sims, they write, Aubrey Cottle, who hacked Give, Send, Go, is crowing about getting thousands of people fired from their jobs for donating to the Freedom Convoy. But that's not the story. In the same Twitter thread from GG Sims, they explain that the Daily Dot was one of the first to report the incident on Sunday night. They refer to DDoS secrets as journalists, but they are actually Antifa/CIA assets who appear to do the dirty work that destroys the lives of political enemies without fear of legal repercussions. They add that the leading woman behind DDoS secrets, Emma Best, brags about her CIA work on her webpage that highlights her involvement in past ops. Emma Best's DDoS secrets reportedly gets her information from ransomware cybercriminals who rarely seem to get caught and prosecuted or are selectively prosecuted. They also add how the media pretends that DDoS secrets is about, quote, sticking it to the man, but this paragon of social justice virtue is anything but. She had a falling out with WikiLeaks over their DNC and John Podesta emails leaks. So Emma Best got angry at Julian Assange after the Podesta leaks. Finally, interesting timing, just as Trudeau's government is threatening to target the bank accounts of Convoy supporters, it was reported late last night that several of Canada's major banks mysteriously went offline during an hours-long outage. Here's a tweet from last night, which includes a graph showing a sudden spike in outages at Scotiabank, RBC, BMO, and TD Canada Trust. Ezra Levent, speculating about this on Twitter, says Canada's largest banks are all offline: Royal Bank, BMO Bank of Montreal, CIBC Bank. Did Trudeau try to hack into their databases? Did the US hack them first to stop it? What could cause all three to crash on the same day, hours after Trudeau's expropriation order? Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, remember to click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And as usual, thank you very much everyone who has been supporting this channel with your donations over at Patreon or PayPal. Even just a few dollars makes a huge difference and helps me keep talking about these important issues. You can find either link down in the video description where you can support this channel directly, patreon.com/realityreader or paypal.me/realityreader. And I'll remind everyone once again, with the censorship happening at YouTube, it's probably a good idea to find me on some alternative platforms as well. The best place where you can find me is superu.net. That's super, the letter u.net. You can search for Kip Simpson there. You can also find me at odyssey.com. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.